Hey guys, what's up? Zach at All Strength Training, and I wanted to hit on something that I think is super critical, especially right now. It's January and we've got a ton of people who are starting their New Year's resolutions, whether it be gaining fat, losing muscle, getting in better shape, whatever the target might be. There's a lot of people who are kind of wanting to hit the ground running pretty hard, and I wanted to talk about one of the things that we hear a lot from people this time of year. A lot of the requests for consult information that we get at All Strength Training, we ask people what they're kind of looking for, and one of the things that comes up often is sustainability. And I want to talk about what sustainability and moderation, what those things look like and how they actually play out in the process of making physical changes. So a lot of people will say that they want something that's super moderate, they don't want to be ultra restrictive, they want something sustainable. And a lot of times when people say they want something sustainable, what they mean is they don't want to have to change things. They say, okay, what I start with now, I want to be able to keep doing forever. And I think that what we really want to look at is the fact that sustainability doesn't have to mean nothing ever changes. If we simply look at what sort of results can we recreate, it doesn't really revolve around the process so much as the results that it brings. And just like most things, that doesn't result in a linear equation. So I want to kind of look at this. Think of like if we're trying to grow a garden. All right, so let's say we've got a patch of land in our backyard and we want to plant a garden, but right now when we look at it, the soil is super dry, there's tons of weeds, it hasn't been watered in God knows how long, the soil hasn't been taken care of, it's not gonna bear a whole lot of fruit for us. But the intention with the garden is once we get it going, we want it to be able to continue to bear fruit for years and years. But that doesn't mean that it's an effortless process to get that going. We've got to look at conditioning the soil, we've got to look at clearing the weeds, we've got to look at creating a foundation that can actually produce results. And part of the process when we're getting a garden growing is time. So a lot of people will think, okay, I want something that's going to work right now, and all I care about is when do I lose my first pound? When am I going to drop my first pant size or my first dress size? When I put my first inch of muscle, on my chest. We have to remember that a lot of the results are based on the state of the soil, which is essentially your body when we're trying to get things started. If you're like a lot of people, you've probably been chronically stressed out for a tremendously long time. You probably don't have great sleep habits. You potentially don't have a tremendous amount of nutrition coming into your body on a regular basis. And when I say you don't have a lot of nutrition, that doesn't just mean, hey, I eat a serving of fruit and vegetables once or twice a day. We've got to look at, is it enough to grow what we're trying to grow? And if a serving or two of fruit, for example, might be enough to produce results once we've already got that garden taken care of, it may not come anywhere close to getting us in the position where we can actually produce the fruit that we're trying to grow. So we've got to remember that when we're getting this process started, often there are going to be bigger changes that aren't always super comfortable. You might have to exercise more frequently than you would like. You might have to turn down visits to family or friends that tend to not necessarily put you in the best position to eat correctly or to avoid excess alcohol consumption or to not stay out late. We have to remember that eventually you might be able to do those things. We have to look at what do we need right now. Okay, so often that's going to be more than you want it to be. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there's very few people that if you're looking to produce sustainable results, it probably means you're not already getting them. And if you're not already getting them, it means that what you're doing isn't working. So we have to look at where the issues are. And unfortunately, the issues sometimes are going to boil down to you're going to have to get a little bit uncomfortable. You're going to have to put more effort into different things than you would like. We're not going to be able to use the idea of balance. And when I say balance, that might mean that You're gonna have to focus more on prepping your food than you might normally like to. You're gonna, instead of going to a concert or going to a football game, that might be a day that you spend getting cardio in, going to the gym, meal prepping for the next day, because that's what we have to do. Just like when I'm creating my garden, it means that you're spending weekends knee deep in soil, pulling weeds and tilling that soil. That's what has to happen. All right, so when we think about creating something that sustains, it's going to mean that more work has to go into it up front. So it doesn't mean that we have to be unhealthy or unsafe. However, you should mentally think the fact that when you get ready to undergo a change like this, there's going to be a time where it's going to be more front loaded towards the things you don't want to be doing. And then as time progresses, often you can do less and less. You might be spending 10 hours a week or more to get that garden growing for the first season, but after you've had it for 5 or 6 seasons, the amount of upkeep that's required might be really minimal, okay? And that's just sort of the reality. A lot of people want to promise that you can make this happen without ever really making any big changes, without exercising differently, without changing your food. It's just not practical. And frankly, I don't give a shit who wants to argue with me. I don't think for a second that anybody can convince me that what I'm saying is inaccurate. So I want everyone who's getting prepared, or has already started, I want you to kind of remember that what you do now and what you're going to do, 12 months from now or 18 months from now or 6 years from now isn't going to necessarily be the same thing. All right. So I wish everybody the best of luck. If you guys have questions, please feel free to throw them in the comments below. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe to our channel. There'll be tons more of this sort of stuff coming over the weeks and months. I want to make sure that everybody has a tremendously productive 2023 and beyond.